Sent you, I'm sorry for the short notice, but I was still looking at it as of 9 o'clock. A rough draft, and it's still rough. I want to highlight that. I still have some facts to run down, but you can kind of see where I'm going. Once again, I see what happened. Once again, some of the challenge was that there's already plaques on some of them, and so trying to find other informations, for example, like on the Means building. They covered the basics about the building and what was in there on the existing plaque. So I kind of went with a little bit more on him because he was such a significant person. And then some of his other ventures that he did, and then I can do more of that in the QR code. But I thought by mentioning some of the buildings that were on 2nd and B and 5th and B. And then also, he's basically the one that was responsible for bringing the trolley.
Oh, that's cool.
And the trolley ran down Main Street, so just a block away or so from his building. So I mentioned that. Let's see. Steve came through once again, as I had nothing else on the Bell building besides the telephone stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what happened after the telephone company left. So he did find some excerpts for me, so I was able to kind of piece together a little bit more information on what happened to this building. And then City Hall, it was the same deal. They covered most of it on the existing plaque. So I thought I'd give a little bit more tidbit on the police station, the fire station. And it's already like the maximum amount of characters I can get in there, so I might be able to go in and nip it down a little bit. Park Hotel. That was the thing I was wanting to, so it was probably 6 years ago when I was at the museum. I think it was John Smith from the building department. I think it was, might be wrong, had contacted us about that not mural, but that piece down in the stairwell. Because that was supposed to come out of the Lewis Clark Hotel.
Oh. And
he wanted to know if we wanted it. And we came over and evaluated it, and it was basically like, don't know how we're getting it off the wall.
I'm not sure.
Without destroying it, but also, if we went that far, then we should really display it. The museum just doesn't have that kind of wall space now. So we left it there. So I might be able to mention that in the QR code. Of course, you could end up having people traipsing in to look at it, but it is a public city building.
Right.
But we might consider at some point.
Well, the thing is like, I bet most people don't really even notice it as they go up and down the stairs.
Yeah. And I would want to verify that all again. I think I might be able to find some of my notes, but might consider maybe putting a little something.
Yeah, a little
like
plaque underneath it.
Museum exhibit plaque type thing. You can do it pretty cheap with some stuff we had used over there. But anyway, okay, so the Territorial Capitol Building. It's actually a bit of a controversial issue. And so I was walking a real fine line on how I dealt with it. Because obviously the popular narrative is that it's the replica of the Territorial Capitol Building. However, when I was still at the museum, I was approached and told that actually there's evidence to indicate that it wasn't.
Oh.
However, it was not my problem at that point because it wasn't at the museum yet. We were in talks, knew it'd be years before it happened, obviously. And so I just set it aside as not my deal right now. So apparently it all comes back around full circle. So,
and now we get to address it.
yes. So Steve Branting had wrote up an article as his position of being the institutional historian for the college. And I was able to get a copy of that. And so it lays out his argument for what building
It actually was.
Yeah, it was. And having gone through it, he sold me. So I know that if we want them to actually be okay with putting the plaque up, we've gotta have to find some kind of a middle ground. So I'm hoping that I did that on this narrative, so if you have suggestions on, because I can make it stronger, but I don't think they'd put it up. But I want to be truthful to the
Right, you don't wanna
history,
be like-
so.
It's this when it might not be that.
And they is the museum.
Society.
And a lot of the people that were on the board that got that whole project originally going and watched over it for years are still
Those
involved.
guys.
Yeah, he's gone now, but a lot of the others are still.
Done a great job, Leah.
Oh, so they're not sure of exactly which building the legislature met in?
I
Yeah,
think
on
Steve
that.
makes a good case for which one it was, but I don't fault them in that initial, I would say, surface level research. That is the narrative that you come across the most, is that what that building is a replica of was it. But he dug a little deeper and found older newspaper articles and also some quotes out of the county papers. And it would seem to indicate that the legislature met in a building that was actually the parking lot here.
Oh,
The
oh yeah, because that's why we
public
have the
works
sign saying that
Yeah.
this is the spot.
and that the building this replicates was actually across the street from the Heritage House, so where the recyclers are.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, it was, they were all right there.
Right,
With the
all those
Luna
areas.
House sitting where the museum is.
Uh-huh.
And then I think the Senate had a room they met in, or a building they met in over on First Street, which is not existing anymore, but, so it was all right here. So the understanding is that this one, where Steve believes was the governor's, what they call the governor's mansion, but his office.
Okay.
So, kind of wanting to let it be known there's some controversy, you know, and if
Right,
at
I
any
mean, I
time,
think that that's interesting.
okay, if any time in the future that anybody wanted to do some adjustments or corrections, we are kind of preserving that narrative, but,
I think that you wrote it in a way that isn't like, no, that's wrong. It just brings up that there has been disagreement about that.
and I will warn you that this may still be more than they're willing to accept. So I don't know that they will put up the plaque.
Well, you know, it could be something where, if they're not willing to let us put it up over there, you know, we do have the sign on the edge of the parking lot for the city buildings, and so it could go there possibly.
Okay.
We
If
could
did that, I
probably,
might rephrase it a little bit, but
so
yeah.
we could figure that out.
Okay. At this point, it doesn't sound like they want to mount it on the building, that.
Yeah, we weren't gonna mount it on the building.
Yeah, I told them, you know, we could come up with something else, so they're thinking of some sort of post or pole.
Yeah, because I was thinking we would do like a pole and not just a
Yeah.
little
And so
stand thing.
I need to find, I know we have it in our minutes, but it's hard to find all that paper. Some of the original, because they keep asking, what does it look like, what does it look like? And I'm like, well, it's about this, and try to describe it. So I had told Mary I would find that information and send her a picture of
Yep.
kind of a mock-up of what.
I will track that down again for you. It's funny.
Because I'll have it in my email, but I'm not sure what.
Yeah, because it was a while ago. The funny thing is like, I've reached out to them multiple times and they have not responded
Yeah,
at all. So
I think there's,
it is what it is.
yeah, there's a disconnect, I think, on who gets what, who's responsible for what. These are the issues that happen when you don't have a director.
Yes. So yeah, because I have sent stuff to you know, to Dr. Miller. I've sent stuff to Mary. I don't have like their full board list, so that's, I usually copy everything to the two of those people. And then, you know, Dennis has, I know, presented things or talked about things at their meetings, but I don't know like how far any of that goes. It should just be the two items together.
And I think it's kind of like any board meeting, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other.
Yes.
You forget about it till the next month, so, yeah, when I finally went over and explained what was going on, and
Is there money in the grant to pay for like posts and that type of thing? Is there money in the grant
Yeah,
like, to
we
pay?
would, I don't think it would be,
Most of them are just gonna go on the building.
correct.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be cost prohibitive.
And I told her, I said, honestly, you know, we've got that, it's all that weathered wood look, it's and the fence, I said you could do some sort of pole
Yeah.
that's weathered post, you know, and.
Yeah, I was just thinking like
Yeah.
a metal pole that you did in the dark
Okay.
bronze kind of situation
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, not bronze, but just
Mhm.
coated with that
Yeah,
kind
the
of stuff.
dark. So, trying to think. So here's my plan, and I don't want to be kept to this. My hope, cross my fingers, is that our next regular meeting, that I could potentially have the final draft of this.
Okay.
I need a few days break, and so then.
Right, your brain is tired.
Yes, it is. And
Shock.
so I want to address, you know, my issues in my notes here and then send it off to Steve, and he's usually pretty good at responding and getting something back to me in a few days. And then hopefully have, you know, the final for the commission, but can't promise that. But then, so if I get that done, and then I'll start on the QR, and Loretta has offered to help me out on some things, and so I am making a list for her to to run some things down for me. But I'm wanting to put together, and I started on it yesterday, and then I was just done, thinking about each QR, I'm gonna call it a page, and going, okay, so we'll have the building name, we'll have built year, and then that's where we'll put, if we have the information, which I do on most of them, architect, contractor. Now, the part I wasn't sure about is if we wanted to have the exact same plaque language on the page, because really the only time people are gonna be able to access the page is if they're standing at the plaque with the QR code, right?
There'll also be the ability, like if you're just on the HPC page,
Oh, okay.
to go to the pages also.
Okay, so it would be good to have the plaque language on there.
Yeah, we could do it that way.
Okay, and then below that, or however they design it, and also there's a picture of a lot of these contractors or architects to go with it, and a lot of times it's the same people, but, you know, like Nave and Kurt McCutcheon did the hotel, and Madgwick is a contractor that built a lot of buildings. So we've got different pictures and stuff of these guys. So then down below, I was gonna do, excuse me, some of these little tidbits that you'll see off to the side. So like the Breyer Building, and like I know about this story, but I didn't realize it was the Breyer Building, so I wanna go and verify it. But you've heard about the elephant, the circus elephant that got loose. Okay, so maybe tell that little story, and I think there's a picture, like a tribute photo of, you know, after it happened, and the mayor standing out there with his gun, and,
Yeah, because there's a
The Newbury
marker of
Square.
some sort over there, about the elephant.
okay, I'm not sure, I read one place that was a Breyer Building, but I was like, man, I really didn't think it was.
Doug's dad, I know my husband's dad knows, because his dad, my grandpa that passed away, he was,
Oh, he was down there?
yeah, so that's, yeah.
Yeah, because they have a plaque over,
There's one in Newbury Square too, as you walk
Okay.
in the hall there about it.
yeah, because there's a plaque over, a couple buildings over off Main, like where, I don't know if that's where they shot it or,
I need to read the story.
I don't
again.
remember what that plaque says,
Yeah.
but there is a marker over there and it's
Okay.
in the parking lot.
Well, and maybe what I'll do is reference the marker. So also, I guess I'm skipping around here. So after the contractor and the architect, like, have what the style of the building is, so like here, Chicago school commercial style, characteristically plain with large windows. And then some of the information about the bricks, I guess the amount of bricks in it is a big deal. the type of flooring, and then I did some research on the flooring and why that was a big deal, that magnesite.
I don't know if this is a big deal, but they always had an attended person there in the elevator.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
already, you know,
Oh, they had a,
yeah, there's, because my
an
mom,
elevator
Dr.
operator.
Warren used to be there when I was little, we used to go there. And there's a lady in the elevator, that's what she did all day.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, there's a story that they found a body at the bottom of that shaft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's all it mentioned was a reference to it, but not like a story, so I'm like,
Right, you're like, what are you?
but like one of the things that maybe if you were interested is go in there, I don't know if you're comfortable taking pictures, but maybe see if you can get a nice picture of the elevator.
Okay,
And I'll have a list for you.
okay, great.
So let's see. So, and then if there's any interesting pictures that might go with the little tidbits, then I would have those go on there.
Okay.
I don't know, there's a lot of newspaper clippings or articles, and I don't know, I think that might be overkill. Trying to read, these faded scanned newspaper
Right.
articles, that's where I've gotten a lot of, different information, but, so that's kind of my loose idea.
Okay.
I don't know, it's gonna probably take me all of the next couple of months to.
Well, and I can go in and take the information that you've done on this one and the other one, and I can start to enter that information kind of in that layout that you've just said. And then we can look at that at another meeting and see if the way that I've put things in there kind of matches what your
Okay.
vision is.
Okay. I thought what I would do is I would just work off of a Word document.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've used PowerPoint.
No, Word document works fine because most of when, so when I go in and I actually like make the adjustments to the page, most of it is like you can just copy and paste into it like it's its own Word
The
document.
photos are still gonna be photos off a drive.
Yep, and so
Is gonna be the
I have to
challenge.
talk to Neil about how the photo part works, if I need to have those in a different format or anything. But for most of the stuff, and I don't think I do, I think it just goes on the same way that like my standard page stuff goes on. But we'll work that all out with
Because
him.
if I can like do a clip and put it in the Word document, so then you know what picture I'm talking about, then whether it's you or I can lift it off the drive.
Yep.
Okay. And so each picture will need to have some sort of annotation, and then also, so I think what I'll do is I'll do a Word document for each building.
Okay.
So it doesn't get too long. And also, there's a lot of material there that's a mix of stuff from the Tribune, from Steve, from the museum. And I talked with Mary because citing is very important for the museum. So I think on each page, if there's something that specifically has already been labeled, I'll probably keep that there. But I think each page will just make sure and thank
We have
and
a
acknowledge.
thank you to Ellsworth County
Yes.
Historical Society and Museum, Steve Branting, Tribune Archives, whoever else. I think we'll just do it, I guess my thought was, we would just do it as like kind of a blanket thing on the bottom of each page.
That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
So, see if there's anything.
Especially since so many things are, just like you said, are tidbits, bits and pieces, so I think it'd be really hard to like go in and like parentheses, cite every single thing, so I think we just blanket, do it on every single page.
Did you get an extension on the time to do all this? When does it have to be done by?
An extension is not available, it's not the way that grant works. We have to be done and I have to turn in the paperwork by May 15th.
But we did feel like, the that's why I've been pushing to have the plaques done, because they need to be up.
Yeah, so the plaques are kind of the big part. If we have basic information in the QR code, like we can still
Keep
work on
adding
that,
on them.
yes. That's not the expectation of that paperwork for the grants. It's more that, yes, all of those exist. Because part of the idea and part of what we put in that grant application is that we would be continuously updating the QR code information when new things were found. I mean, because like Mr. Branting has Jay mentioned several times when he's been in front of this commission, you know, he's continually to find more photos, more information, different stories, you know,
Yeah.
memories from people who send stuff in randomly. So, and that was kind of the idea behind doing the QR code, is that you have this basic information that's on the plaque, and you're able to continuously update the story behind it. So, all of those have been created, and I can go put in the basic information, like building, name, year, architect, you know, that stuff. And even if that's where we start with, that's what we start with. And then we'll add the information as you're able to. But all of those have been created, so that part is done, they all exist, it's just a matter of me plugging all the information into them. And even that, you know, I don't think that'll be a huge thing. I think, you know, the narrative and the written part, you know, that's definitely more time, but just getting the basic information into all of them, I don't foresee that taking a ton of my time. So I think I'll get that done. I'll probably even get that done before packs are done, honestly, because I'll probably just pull a bunch of information. That way we at least have a baseline in there, and then we can figure out what else we need to pop in.
Is there a way to have a link that like I can click on to look at and see kind of how it's looking together?
I think so. I'll have to double check with IT how that works since they're not live yet. So like currently they exist on the HPC page, you just can't see them. And so I log into the whole system just like I do when I do, you know, minutes and agendas and all that other stuff, or anytime I update anything, so I go in the back way, right? So I can see them all.
So we may not be able to without total access to it.
Yeah,
So
I'll have to
there may not be a
figure
way.
that out, but it could also be something where, you know, you and I can get together and we can go in and look at all of them,
Okay.
and figure out what else you need me to be doing.
And as I worked through, I was trying to decide, you know, kind of how to go about this, but I think what I might do is try to complete each QR code as much as I can as I go, and then maybe I can send them to you, and that will keep you from get, you know, 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I can definitely just start with all the basic information, and
Okay.
get that all loaded,
Mhm.
and then we can figure out the other bits afterwards. So at least something will show up, you know, once those plaques have been created and we're getting them posted, at least there's something.
Okay. The one thing, before, is there anybody, do you have any questions or suggestions or concerns or with what's down there already?
To it.
You're doing a really awesome job.
Oh, you know, I love it, it's what I do, but, like, I think I need a break.
And it's time to stop.
that I can do to help you? I know I haven't been real
I think what I'm gonna do is try to kind of have a little more of a plan, a work plan, that I do next week. And so, like I said, I'm starting on a list for her. And so if I need something else,
Yeah,
I'll
just
let you
me
know.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help with it.
I appreciate that. I was going to see if we could adjust the schedule a little bit
Yes.
and maybe not have another subcommittee meeting till like, I can't do it on the
Yeah, cause I
Six.
put on there when would work for you, cause you said your schedule was kind of changing with stuff, and so
I could do,
you tell me what works for you and then
okay,
we'll figure out how I make it work.
the week of the 6th of March, we could have another meeting to see where the QR code stuff's going.
Okay.
The 6th though, I can't do it that day. So I
The
could
regular
do,
meeting's on the 2nd, right?
yeah, so the week before, Thursday before, so either 7th, 8th, or 9th, Tuesday through.
Okay, so 7. It's Wednesday. What time?
I can be pretty flexible.
Um, have anything on Tuesday? Wednesday, there are morning meetings in this room, so we would not be able to use this room. Thursday, early morning meeting, 30, but usually that one is done by 10. I feel like I have another meeting that day though. I think Tuesday's probably gonna be the best. And that will have given us an opportunity to have met with the full commission.
Maybe,
Yeah, get closer on this. And, we can also hold a special meeting to approve these things
So
too.
you're saying March 7th, the Tuesday, is that?
Yeah, Tuesday the 7th.
I hate doing that. My goal is to try to have it done by then.
Okay.
But if I just can't, because I've got the next 2 weekends are booked up for me and I'm gonna try to.
So I know that Lorinda's going to try to track down some information from you. If there is any other information that you would like me to work on or Lisa to work on, let me know, because then I can kind of work it into my schedule to chase stuff. And so if you're giving Lorinda like a list of so many of them, maybe you give me some and you give Lisa some, and that way we can get everything
Okay.
done.
It'll probably be idea of what I'm.
Right, what you need.
What I need.
Okay, so what time on Tuesday the 7th?
Work.
Okay, so we'll do 10 a.m., all agenda and post that. Okay, and then you're gonna send out some information on this. I'm gonna start loading building names, dates, architects, whatever you've already provided. I will start getting that loaded into the website. And at that March meeting, we can even look at the websites if you would like. That way we can kind of see, because that'll give me time to get stuff loaded and see how it works and talk to Neil about how photos will work. Because I'm pretty sure I just embed them, but I'm not positive. I don't do photos often enough because they're different than like when you load documents onto the website. So I'll get that figured out with him. And I think there's some in the drive, and so maybe I'll do a couple test ones and we'll just see how that looks, and then we can play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Myself a note. And then I'll send you the plaque
Who's
example.
installing these plaques?
It will be in conjunction with the building official. I've already talked to him and Brandon about helping us. Okay, because we'll also, all of the, building owners that have responded to me about being excited about doing it, have all wanted to, of course, be involved to where the plaque goes. So, but so that'll be something that we have to kind of figure out over a number of days is, meeting with them, figuring out where it goes, making sure we have the correct epoxy for whatever surface we're mounting it to. And then we'll get together, we'll either have like a work group that goes, or it'll be me and one of the building inspectors doing it.
It could actually take you days.
If you try to get everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
so, which is why I'm thinking it might just be, and then I have to like notice that situation.
Oh, if there's too many of us.
Right,
Installing plaques
Yeah,
together.
right, and I have to be like, and then you have to like give a path.
Oh, my goodness.
Very interesting how you do when you do like tour things. So it might be easiest to have me just go meet with building owners, determine locations, and then either me and the building inspector or me and the building official would go and actually do the installation with the epoxy.
You could have some commissioners go as long as you didn't have too many, correct?
Yes.
Less than a quorum.
Yes. And I know that like Ed had been excited about doing that, so
And he had talked to some of the people.
yes, and
so
he had done a little bit of,
probably did.
yep. And I'll
'Cause
probably.
I'm totally cool with not going.
Right, you're like,
I volunteer to not be
I
there.
don't so that might be something that we discuss at the next regular HPC meeting is, you know, Ed, do you want to do some more outreach and then we can get a time figured out with Brandon and get the epoxy guns and off we go. Okay, so I'm gonna load this before so then I will also bring, and depending on when you send me this stuff, I might just do it based off of, what you already have, and that way I can just go in and fix it. I'll dummy up the plaques so that everybody can see kind of what that's gonna look like. And it'll just be a Word document, but with the, right, and that way they're kind of each done individually, and then when I send them to Northwest Engraving, we'll know very specifically how we want it to look. Okay. Super. Talk about anything else you want to talk about?
So any more commissioner comments? Comments?
Got my list of homework.
So is everybody ready to adjourn? Can I have a motion?
Sure.
Second.
Or-
Aye.
Five.